Might as well start recording now as I set up because this is getting super exciting. Ooh. We're back. We're back. I hope you're excited. I hope you made your drink. I hope you're wearing your best December Christmas fall foliage. And I got my mug, bitch. We ready. We ready. Trying to keep the excitement in. 10 out of 10. But acknowledging that we are obviously doing this last minute. Perfectly in theme, perfectly in correlation with everything else that I do. It's been a long break, a necessary break, but an exhausting one for sure. Welcome back. Let's start. This is Silly Girl, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. It's me. Welcome back. This is season 2. Happy again to be here. Welcome to the first episode, first topic. I was going back and forth. And again, we're recording this last minute because when season 1 came to an end, I think my silly karma, the applications that I was using, ended up redoing, revamping, completely removing the opportunity, the ability, honestly, to record, edit, and post. I was spoiled rotten for the beginning of this podcast. So in the last minute, last moment, we recorded and posted our last episode on YouTube. I lost all my material and then I upgraded my material because that's just, again, my silly luck. When endings come, and we're going to get into that too, when endings come, they kind of go off in a bang. In the most humorous way, my Chromebook ended up going in a spark. So I was like, it's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. This is just, I'm used to this. When there's one thing coming to a closing, it feels like a tidal wave of stupidity and bad luck. Stupidity and bad luck comes my way. It happens. I'm not worried. We learn how to go with the flow. We have to learn how to be flexible. We're also going to get into that. But we'll say that when season 1 came to a close, taking the moment for myself, my pocket of peace, and enjoying the last bit of summer, being able to volunteer. A lot of you know that I was able to volunteer with a nonprofit farm, helping so many people, working along so many walks of life, harvesting 13,000 pounds of food and giving that back to the community is beyond rewarding in itself. Knowing that I'm a part of that, my God, my heart is so full. My heart is so warm. Being able to hang out with friends and making new friends along the way. Great opportunity to do so, especially working into adulthood. We need to create that balance for ourselves. We're doing so much, managing so much, embracing so much. I'm missing summer more than I thought I would. I've never been a summer girly, so being able to embrace it in hobbies, embrace it in friendships, and take up space to create balance between work and hobbies. Because I got to teach yoga on the beach for the first time. I've been teaching yoga for almost 6 years and never got to teach at a beach. I'm from the Jersey Shore. Getting able to do that for the first time, rewarding. I was out there every week. Being able to be by the beach is such a privilege and needs to be utilized. The beach is such a peaceful place. I've learned that from my parents taking me to the beach every year. But being a therapist and all of that too is both rewarding, exciting, and stressful. In this political climate, I won't get into it. We'll just say that. And it's tiring. You're always wishing the best for everyone. You're always trying to do your best for everyone. But there are a lot of things outside of our control that contribute to a lot of our stress. And leaning into what season 2, what I want it to be, what I expect it to be, and what I hope to be, of course, there's stress. I think a lot of us recognize that when there's change, and we've talked about this, parts that are exciting, parts that are a little nerve-wracking, exciting to see what new things can come our way, exciting to see what new opportunities I think all of us get excited about something new just because we get bored of what we have, or we feel like it's overdone, overused, and we've had enough of it. We lose appreciation even. But are we resisting the sense of letting go because our space is getting a little overcrowded? Don't you love my metaphors early on? My silly thoughts, my silly podcast, my silly topics. And so when there's so much space and so little space, and everyone is so different, everyone's tolerance is so different, everyone's ability to manage their differences is so special, and again, balancing that positive with the negative, you're allowed to be jealous of other people. Jealousy's been such a big feeling coming up in my personal life, coming even up in the therapy world as a general topic. It's, I don't know, we see so much. Everyone posts so much, everyone shares so much, but is it still as authentic as we hope it is? Is it still being balanced with a sense of entertainment, acknowledging what's entertainment, or are there spaces where it just feels like our stress is being blown out of proportions? I think that might be the word that I use. So as summer kind of came to a close and I grieved that experience of being outside and being in that space where I wasn't being pulled into the therapy world all the time, or pulled into topics about social media, or pulled into topics about change and upcoming change and change that we're planning and change that's outside of our control. There was part of me that was very jealous. I was like, what? I gotta go back to work even more. I'm allowing myself to be honest with myself. If you're not honest with yourself and honest with those thoughts about, not wanting to show up all the time, or acknowledging that some of us are losing motivation. Why are we losing motivation? What's causing that? When it came to planning out season 2, there were so many topics, ideas, and research, and again, upgrading. We're on video. That's so exciting. I'm so excited to bring back video. I want you to see my silly little face. I want to be able to showcase some moments and be more connecting instead of just being on audio. I want to give you guys choices. So having the opportunity to upgrade my technology, my material that I use to record, being able to do the research, what a privilege. But I lost a lot of that time because work became more demanding. I work with a teen demographic. I work with young adults. I work with families. I work with couples. The fall brings a lot. The fall brings change. So taking September and October for myself, and even November, I lost control a little bit, but maintaining boundaries within privacy and maintaining boundaries within my work. When school comes back, we're back to our routines. We're back to our schedules. We're not vacationing as much. So there becomes part of those routines for a lot of my people, even myself. We all go back to our jobs. We all go back to our sports, our hobbies, our community spaces, our volunteer spaces. So those moments of grief of the summer and taking moments of just saying, I got to plug back in. What is that going to look like? Are we allowing ourselves to create boundaries of what that looks like? Are we creating balance for ourselves? Because once we're always in those spaces that I kind of use the word secondhand emotion, just like secondhand smoke. Stress bounces off of each other. So when we're going back to working spaces and school spaces and community spaces where we're with other people, and these attachments are important, these people mean something to us, but these people aren't us. We all come with our different thoughts, our different feelings, our different emotions, our different stressors, our different tones, our different ways of expressing that. And we all have our own eyes and ears of how we perceive those tones and expressions and words and metaphors. And it feels like a game of telephone sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. Being a fly on the wall and kind of looking at spaces when it comes to my different demographics of clients, my friendships, my community spaces, and even just being mindful of where you live. we acknowledge where everyone's kind of, we'll say, groups are. And sometimes we feel like we belong to those groups. Sometimes we feel like we belong to different several groups. Sometimes we're closer to others than we thought. Sometimes we're not as in on something as we hoped. I don't even know. And we lose sight that a lot of this feels very gray, even though there are these media demands and expectations of being black and white. It's very gray. And even though we acknowledge that it's gray, there's still those media spaces and community spaces that emphasize is black and white and time and place. Enough is enough. Where are the boundaries? So we're not. I honestly felt like my silly thought, my silly metaphor, my battery was just being drained. Many of you know I'm a marriage and family therapist, so within my perception of work, I'm mindful of how factors outside of our control, but how it influences our spaces, play a part in our mental health, wellness, physical, emotional. When do we not have our phones attached to our hands? It's ridiculous, but there are those spaces of FOMO where we feel like we're missing out on something when you're putting that phone down. Well, what's the latest trend? Well, who's buying what? And there's no more mystery. There's no more mystery. If some of you can see, I'm wearing my little Christmas sweatshirt. I'm getting myself like excited for December. I'm excited. I need just some sort of like magic, because the stressor of balancing out the workflow, being the optimistic sunshine brightness for my clientele, my friendships, my attachments, it's been a lot. And battery is low. I feel like a dry sponge. There's nothing left. And I think a lot of us feel that exhaustion, that nothing left feeling, that I gave it my all. I already did so much. Or some people are showing up as already exhausted and they're like, what else is there to give? I've already given so much to my work. I've given so much to my family. I've given so much in, again, X, Y, and Z. You fill in those spaces, because we can all relate to similar things and different things at the same time. But we're all feeling that sense of stress. And leading into the title of today's podcast, I started reflecting on this metaphor, working with my young teens and my young adults when it comes to approaching this sense of how are we setting goals for the winter season, the new year, the change that's coming. We do this every 4 years, we vote. Again, without getting into these topics, because this is my silly space, keeping balance. I want this to stay peaceful and more of a reflective space for you. We're here to be vague. You fill in those spaces, but it's a change that I look forward to, and so many young adults do. When you're coming into this stage of life of, hey, it's my opportunity to feel about like I'm a part of something bigger than me, the opportunity to have a voice in something, it broke my heart as a clinician, knowing that a lot of teens kind of backed away from that space because I'm so angry at other adults for this. We made it so loud and stressful that they're like, I just can't. Rachel, my voice is smaller. And again, this is not quoting anything specific. This is my general thought. So many of us feel like our voice is so small compared to something that feels so big, so loud. But is it just social media spaces that gives us this perspective of, well, everyone's screaming, everyone's loud, everyone has something to say? Exactly. Everyone has something to say. It's so obvious. My silly thought, if it's so obvious, why are we still getting caught up in the sense of blindness? Back to this game of telephone. We've lost perspective of balance and keeping spaces that are naturally stressful. Upcoming change, we have the fall, we have going back to school, we have people coming into the last year of schools and colleges and job opportunities and internships, where we're preparing for holidays, and holidays are different with each year. With when we're creating, I'm hosting Christmas for the second year in a row. I'm so excited to be planning the sense of change, inviting new family members into this space. And again, change within. If we look at ourselves kind of like a layers. Which ones are within our control? Planning these holidays, setting up our goals for our next steps in our careers, our schools, promotions, setting up those next steps for the futures that are influenced by bigger things, but we still have small voices. Small voices, pennies make up dollars. Don't lose those sights. Don't lose that sense of fire. Lose that sense of purpose. Lose that sense of sight. Lose that sense of control. I think what's been a big exhaustion, especially for me in this month of November, is this, I don't want to say theatrical, it's just been a very loud space, loss of perspective of, well, what's there to look forward to? What am I capable of? Well, that goal I had in mind is just getting farther and farther away, and I get it. I'm in my 20s too. We're in our 20s, we're in our 30s, where we're trying to set up foundations like our parents did, like our older generations are expressing to us, like, well, we did this and why aren't you doing this? Well, we were working towards and why aren't you doing that? And I'm exhausted. My battery's low. I feel like a dried out sponge, and the fire that should be in my belly, my fire chakra moment, that motivation of I want and I need and I'm going to create, it doesn't feel like a bonfire. It feels like a small candle, like a little birthday candle. It's just kind of shrinking. And I think a lot of us are feeling that kind of shrinking feeling because, again, we're giving so much. We're doing so much. We're watching so much. We're hearing so much. We're exhausting our minds. We're exhausting our bodies. We're exhausting our spaces. Where's our self-care? Where's our pocket of peace? Where are those boundaries to take space, to be quiet, and to sit down, and to relax, and to nurture? We all do it in different ways. So if it's in ways that are relaxing and self-care and, again, going back into those, I almost think of your love languages. If you're a more physical touch kind of person, getting your hair done, face masks, massages, buying new clothes, wearing comfortable things when you're going into those moments of gift giving. So treat yourself, but within boundaries, baby. It's Christmas time is coming. Holiday season is coming. Make your Christmas Hanukkah lists. Don't be spending too much money. It's budget time, all right? If you're not DIYing this Christmas, I think that's going to be my thing. Acts of service is my love language. Your girl has been leaning into the sourdough bread baking business. That on top of the cat rescue, on top of the small farm. If you're taking that moment to reflect on yourself and those 5 love languages, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, gift giving, what do you do for others? What do you like in return? If you're mirroring what you like in return towards yourself, I would believe that's your moment of self-care, my friends. These are those building blocks. Self-care isn't the same for everybody. What makes us different is beautiful. My silly thought. Being able to lean into your space of self-care is so important. So important to recharge your battery. So important to find that sense of, oomph, fire. Maybe that fire's in your belly. Maybe sometimes that fire feels like it's under your ass. Stick with me. I really thought about this through the month of November. I'm telling you, there are moments where there's moments where I'm even challenging my sense of priorities and my balance. They have to correlate. I don't know what it is. If it's my American mentality, if it's my 20-year-old mentality, if it's a sense of, well, if I want more, I have to work more, and we kind of lose sight of where are those boundaries with work. A lot of us are still working from home. A lot of us are working client-based jobs. A lot of us are working several jobs. So if you're overbooking, overdoing, giving it your all, that metaphor when you're on an airplane and you're supposed to put your mask on before you help another is, It screams so much because none of us really practice that. So many of my friends and I prioritize work that so many of us miss opportunities of seeing each other, and that creates grief. That creates a sense of expectation. Oh, this is adulthood. I'm not supposed to be with friends as much. I'm not supposed to have this much fun. I'm not supposed to have these types of lifestyles. But if we're creating that narrative, looking at yourself as an individual, oh, I can't have that like everybody else. Oh, my jealousy is now taking over my sight of motivation, goals, what I'm capable of doing. Silly thought and silly perspective in me is almost like that little creature venom kind of just like eating over you. It just takes up this sense of I can't do that. It's not for me. My jealousy makes me lose sight of what I'm able to do, of what is within my power, and it gets gross and it becomes unattractive. And when you get caught up in your own perspective, your own negative narrative, your own negative emotion, you're going to be too far to reach, my friend. My silly thought. The whole narrative of misery and joy company. Too many of us are too tired. Too tired with our own shit to really help too many others with their shit. So many of us have become angry and irritated with our shit that we're displacing that anger on others. And I really felt that this month. This rise of tension, but we're coming into the fall season, and the only time anger is supposed to rise is when ice cream sales rise, and it's been a hot fall, unfortunately. And I'm tired, so we need to plant our feet, take a huge breath, filling up our bellies with air, filling up our lungs, expanding that rib cage, opening up our chest and shoulders, because god damn it, if you don't light that fire back into your belly, move it out from under your ass back into your belly, because we have things to do. We really do. We have things to look forward to. We have things to create. We have family to see. We have friends to engage with. But if you really want that, because I know that's what everyone says, well, I want this, Rachel, and this is what I'm looking forward to, and I would love to see you, and we need to do that. Girl, friends, same. I see you. I love you. Let's do this. When and where? Where, when, how? What are we doing to make these things happen? Because they're important to us. I'm not here to work all the time. I'm not here to make work my life all the time. Is it my passion? Of course. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing it. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be yapping this much. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have created this silly little podcast with my silly thoughts, because I think too much, because people interest me. How we live interests me. How we work interests me. How we interact interests me. People are interesting. We're interesting. So why are we all trying to be the same? But when are we all connecting? How are we embracing differences while bouncing off energy? More often than not, do I tell my friends, my clients, even family members, there's this sense of recharging that I've gotten from my friends, that I've gotten in community spaces, because it's just, hey, we're all here to show up for something. We all have intentions to get something out of this. Being able to volunteer side by side, again, with so many different types of people, gets me excited. Who are you? What do you do? What do you like? What's your perspective on? What have you learned? That's awesome. This is so exciting, because it's so nice to have positive, encouraging, learning experiences that are light, that are fun, to balance out again. My job is stressful because I'm here to help people manage stressful things in their life as best as they can, with tools that I have foundations of that we tailor to everyone's needs. We're all trying our best out here. We're all trying our best. Maybe we need to try a little harder. Take what I say with a grain of salt. Everyone's at different levels, different paces. Same. And sometimes, silly thought, I'm also using this podcast to tell myself, how are we trying harder? Where are we putting the priorities? How are we making the time? What's really important to us? Our work is important to us for obvious reasons. It pays the bills. It's our responsibility for a lot of us to a point, because boundaries are important. For a lot of us to a point, our job is our purpose. We find a lot of joy from it. I don't blame you. I love chatting with people. I love learning about people. I love making silly jokes to the teen demographic. It is the Rachel Show to a point. I'm here to educate. I'm here to educate the young generation for whatever the world is doing out there. But adults, I feel like I'm doing this by myself. To a point, yes. It feels like this metaphor of, I've called it the group project, where you feel like you're doing it all by yourself because everyone's like, oh yeah, no, they got it. No. Again, back to that perspective of, I can't do this by myself. I can only do so much, and my voice is so small. So like, but they got it. Somebody else will pick it up. I don't have to do it. Somebody else will get it. My friends, stand up. Stand up. And that's in many different ways. But we gotta stand up. So many of us have gotten comfortable sitting down. So many people are lying down. So many people are just digging their hole to just lie down even deeper. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know if it's just because there's a different perception of me, where I'm just like, we got this. Different encouragement, different perspective, different set of tools. But I didn't find it overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. I tried, and a lot of times it's because I didn't really have a choice. A lot of people forget that I've struggled with anxiety most of my life, to a point where it has affected my digestion. I think a lot of us have talked about that. No one likes an anxiety tummy ache. No one likes to leave their house when they have an anxiety tummy ache. I get it. I've been there. But I've also had a very encouraging mother, we'll say that, who's like, girl, if you're going to throw up, or just go, because you have to go to school. And that's not a choice. And I said, you got it, girl. And I said that in different ways. Because I think I giggled and laughed when a friend of mine said over the summer, to a point, it's a privilege to have that level of anxiety. Does it invalidate? In some ways, yes. It takes away from a person's feelings, but to a point, I'm still here trying my best. We all need to be out here trying our best. Because if you're not trying at all, what are you doing? What are you complaining about? Now you're making me sound like an old man. My silly thought. I hate sounding like a little old man. I'm so grumpy. But this perspective of just lying down, not trying, and giving up, it's dimming my fire. It's dimming your fire. It's dimming the fires around you. And the more your fire dims, the sooner it's going to go out. And that's no fun at all. Keeping that fire small. Maybe that's you just maintaining routine, showing up to work, continuing your self-care, basic line. Maybe that fire is like a little fire burner on the stove, a little brighter. Maybe that's you getting a little sweet treat at the end of the week for doing so well at your job and showing up to, let's say, a health goal. For me, I was going to yoga. I gotta find my practice again. What's relighting my fire? Because work becomes a lot. Budgeting becomes a lot. Managing my responsibilities can become a lot. We're human at the end of the day. So being able to prioritize my work schedule and managing that work schedule, I'm seeing clients between X hours and X hours these days a week. I'm answering emails and phone calls between this hour and this hour these days a week. And between that hour and this hour, I'm going to go to yoga. I have to start meal prepping again. I have to start maintaining my spaces again. We're in the house more. It's winter time. We're not playing outside as much. So now it's coming back inside, reorganizing closets, basements, kitchen. It's stocking up for the winter. Because I live on the East Coast and I'm my father's daughter when it comes to get your cans, get your beans, get your holiday foods ready. We're going to start baking. I'm on my bread journey. Where's my flour? Where's my water? These are the things I think about. How we've been moving. I wish I could show you guys. Maybe one day we'll start a little blog for Silly Girl, Silly Thought, and I'll post silly photos, but we've slowly started to bring the garden outside from the backyard into the house. I have a little hydroponic kit on the kitchen table. We're growing herbs. We're growing leafy greens. It's been so exciting knowing that, yes, my hobbies have changed within the winter season. This is within my control, leaning back into what's bringing in this motivation, this purpose, this sense of I can do this. What does that look like? If I don't want to lose my enjoyment of gardening, can I move it into the house? I'm not going to grow tomatoes. That's a flowering plant. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to pollinate everything myself. I'm sorry. So growing sprouts, microgreens, you can do it in a jar, you can do it in a dish, you can do it on your table, you can do it in the laundry room, you can do it in your bathroom. You could just, why are we making up excuses for these things that are just available in our house? I'm sure you have one because everyone has an old jar of pasta sauce in the fridge. Clean it out. Find a bag of broccoli sprouts, radish sprouts. You can get them online. You can get them in a store. My dad's been growing them in a bin in our laundry room since I was a child. The man's been making his salads every week. It isn't this hard. But do you have confidence to try? Get rid of this perspective of, well, it's not perfect. Well, everyone else can do it and I can't. Well, this person has the perfect setup and they do it all the time and they make it look so hard. Stop. Everybody's on social media. If you're still watching influencers who are making things so complicated and you're not focusing on the people, the average people who are just having fun and just trying their best, that's on you. That's on you. My silly thought. You got to balance out your social media, my friends. You got to balance out your groups and your communities, my friend. You got to balance out your life as best as you can, my friends. Because if you're not acknowledging those boundaries of what's media and entertainment, what spaces are taking your energy, taking your time, and what spaces are giving back to you, then how are you going to make time for the things that you want to do for yourself? I'm growing food in my house. I'm making bread because I'm not gardening outside anymore, and taking care of a sourdough starter is like having a pet rock. Instead of checking on my garden every morning, I'm checking on Bert, Ernie, and I don't have a name yet for the baby in the fridge. Because instead of making one sourdough starter, I felt like a small little chemist and I made 3. And they just keep growing, and I'm making bagels later today. I got a timer going. I love embracing everyone for their crafts and their differences, because if we don't maintain these crafts, these interests, these DIYs, these creative and inventive spaces, I feel like we lose that fire, we lose that brightness, we lose those sparks, that magic, that optimism, that wow factor. Media spaces and entertainment spaces are there for shock factor. I really think so. My silly thought, it's there for shock, that gasp. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I've been watching all my Bravo Housewives, because Bravo has not been disappointing me. My goodness. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see things that are meant for entertainment, shock value. But these are still people's lives. And again, these are boundaries too. I don't know these people. They don't know me. What they do isn't going to affect my life. So stop coming into these perspectives of, but if it doesn't look the same, and if it's not wow, and if people aren't going to embrace it the way other people are embracing this 1, 2, or maybe 5 people out of God knows how many people, we're all on social media. But at the end of the day, it's almost like a lottery to be noticed. So why are we not embracing again this perspective that social media to a point is like a journal? Post what you want, share what you want, engage with who you want, but it's not It's not supposed to be this hierarchy platform, like grow yourself, brand yourself. What? Now we're taking out the fun. We're taking out the fun of what people are creating. We're taking out the fun of sharing experiences. We're taking out the fun of trying anything new, because why is it me trying sourdough bread, even wowing others? Like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, I could never. You see, it was a little challenging, I'll admit, and I'm stubborn and I love to do things that, I don't know, complicate my life. I saw so many people, watching so many people do sourdough bread on TikTok was so exciting. Watching so many people trial and error, fail, and try again, and say, hey, if you mess up a bread and ends up flat, make croutons out of it, make breadcrumbs out of it. It's okay. You'll try again. Those are the perspectives we have to be leaning into, because everyone's trying again. Nothing happens perfect at the first time. And if it does, that's pure luck, or you just had patience, or you went in with an open mind without expectation and you're embracing the present moment. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Because I want to be embracing those spaces. I really try to this October for Halloween, this past Thanksgiving, and even approaching the holidays for myself. We're hosting Christmas, as I said. I'm trying to come in with these spaces of, it's not a high bar, Rach. Are we starting from the bottom and working our way up? Can we start with, hey, what do I want to do? What would I like to make? What am I willing to tolerate? Where do we have to compromise? These are those stepping stones for these conversations, because if we're just setting the bar of, well, so-and-so did it this way, so I have to do it this way, and here I go. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how it's done, but it has to be perfect just like that, because if it's not perfect, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, that's why nothing's happening. Everyone's like, well, it doesn't look the same, and I don't have the money, and I don't have the time, and it's not going to be that perfect as the way I planned it. I get it. I've done it too. I'm my mother's daughter. I want it perfect. I want everyone to be happy. I want to impress. I want you to come back. But now I'm taking the fun out of those spaces, and now it's making it a stressful space, and it happens. We're human. We have to learn. We're doing so much to make the people around us happy, to almost embody this sense of, I want to get excited. I want the people around me to get excited. I want to create this space. It has that intention of acts of service, gift giving, quality time. I see you. I get it. I do it too. But we're going so far. We're moving so fast that we're losing sight of the fun, and we're creating our own stressful space. It happens. It happens. How do we bring it back? When we kind of lose control of that fun, that perspective, that intention of, I'm here to create this space for, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm willing to tolerate, this is what I have to let go of, because flexibility is necessary. We can only control so much. I think a lot of us were really nervous with the upcoming holidays because it brings a lot of people together, whether we come from small families, big families, friend groups, diversity or not. We're all still different. We're all still affected in different ways. We're all opinionated in different ways. We all want different things. We're all looking forward to different things. I was excited to make pull-up bar bread. My sister was excited for pumpkin pie. My brother was excited for turkey. That's great. We should embrace each other's differences best we can. Because I'm not here to spend a holiday with myself, and I'm not here to spend a holiday with someone who thinks like me, talks like me, is me. I'm not always the best company. I can only spend so much time with myself. We can only be with ourselves for so long. We have to bounce off those attachments, those relationships to recharge. It's quality time. It's our community. It's necessary. So, allowing yourself, as I take my deep breath, to balance out that perspective of, I don't know what to expect, or what's to come, or who's going to say what, or who's going to let me down, or who's going to stress me out, or XYZ. You fill in those spaces for you. You're your own person. But where's that balancing thought of, hey, I'm really looking forward to make. I'm looking forward to share. Perspective of traditions. I think that's what my family has such a strength in, is my dad, laugh. He always emphasizes sense of tradition, and it shows up in silly ways. Don't have breakfast right away. Don't fill up your bellies. Holidays here, like we're gonna go to X, Y, and Z, and there's gonna be so much good food. Like, don't fill up. Don't waste your appetite on breakfast. I'm like, Dad. I'm not starving myself all day to eat dinner at 6 p.m. That's not happening. But for him, it was that excitement of, no one was allowed in the kitchen because we're cooking, we're preparing. My dad maintained a space where even religious traditions were still within boundaries and didn't become negative. And I take very big pride in that because after we went to church, we got to pick up bagels. We got to go to the bakery. Like, there was routine with tradition. The looking forward to Christmas Day, making scrambled eggs, sandwiches, bagels, and opening up gifts, watching the Yule log, watching the marathon of A Christmas Story. There's the tradition of Thanksgiving of just seeing the parade and watching the dog show. Who doesn't love the dog show? It's adorable. And being in our own home, a lot of us in our 20s, a lot of us in college, if we're not going home for Thanksgiving or if we're just packing up and heading home now, we're spending it with our partners. It's looking a little different for a lot of us. And acknowledging that grief, that part that kind of dims the fire within us, or maybe it lights a fire under our asses. Like, okay, now what do I have to prepare and what do I have to bring and whose house are we going to and how are we balancing holidays with our partners and how many houses are we going to? Take that breath. My silly thought, take that breath. But pocket of peace. Pocket of peace. My sister and I enjoyed the bingo board game for a family of, what kind of catchphrases are our family members going to say at the holidays. We love our silly catchphrases with our family. And for my aunt, it's are you having fun? Is everyone having fun? For my grandmother, it's probably her making a comment about somebody's hair being too long or who's not engaged and who's not having a baby yet. And, what I want a baby to take care of. Girl, we'll get you a puppy. We'll figure it out. But leading into those humorous spaces, kind of flipping the script of these negative narratives that so many 20-year-olds take in. Well, Rachel, the older generation expects so much and look what we're working with. Yeah, girl, I get it. Same. But anytime someone's asking me when I'm getting engaged and when my baby's coming, I'm just giggling and joking and making a joke back best as I can because I get it. They're probably looking for something to celebrate too. I'm trying my best. I want to celebrate things. We all do. I get it. Everything's only within so much of our control. Everything's only so much of within perspectives. And we're not doing these things alone. So it's trying our best to work together because you can only do so much alone. I'm saying it again, my silly thought. You can only do so much alone. And I don't want to feel alone anymore. As much as the fire moved from my belly under my butt, definitely towards the end of November, because I had so much change. The natural one that happens every 4 years, the season change, even though we had those few hot days here in Jersey, and then even like daylight savings, it's getting darker sooner. So as much as these changes come about within our control, we control our schedule, we control our time, we control what clothes we put on. I don't know. We can't control when it gets darker outside, how that plays a part in our mood. We can't control how that plays a role in our animals, a role in the kids. Oi. So many babies were waking up so early. My animals were begging for food by 4 p.m. because they were like, it's dark outside and you guys are home. So like, belly up. And that creates stress in itself. I get it. We're all trying our best. Slice of compassion best I can. But it's just not working with us. So within my control, I'm trying to migrate that fire under my butt of, okay, work is getting done. This is getting done. That is prepared. This is done. Make sure you're writing a list. Make sure you're doing that. Make sure you're doing this. It's Step 1. Can I write a list? Step 2. What is the first priority on that list? Step 3. Work at a pace that's appropriate to me. I guess that's where I'm leading from. It's within my control. And then there's things that happen immediate that, again, are outside of my control. If the animals need something right away, if my partner needs something in the moment. We replaced all tires in my car. That was exciting, but managing responsibilities, managing hobbies, trying our best to show up to yoga, managing the necessities. I definitely have to cook some food for the week. Sometimes when I'm sitting with clients and we're coming into this exercise of building a routine, again, with space, with flexibility, because every day is different, not every day is the same. Responsibilities include maintaining my home, maintaining my space, maintaining my animals best I can. I have the privilege of doing so with my partner, splitting up that sense of responsibilities best we can, utilizing our strengths and differences. How are you doing that with your partner? How are you doing that with your roommates? How are you doing that with your family? If you're able to. Don't put so much on your plate if you do not have to. Something I'm trying to practice best as I can as an older sibling and as a stubborn woman, my silly girl, my silly thought self. Having confidence that if I delegate a task, it's going to get taken care of. Having confidence in my voice, having confidence in my communication skills to advocate and say, yes, I need help bringing X, Y, and Z. Yes, for the upcoming holiday, can you bring X, Y, and Z? Yes, if you have X, Y, and Z, can I have that by X, Y, and Z? These things are within our control. Why are we not using them? Find your voice. Wear blue, eat some blueberries, but you have to find that because the more quiet you are, the more you're creating your own stress, the more you're maintaining your own patterns, the more you're maintaining your own misery, and we're not having it anymore. We're not having it. So utilizing my voice, utilizing my confidence, utilizing my communication, utilizing my people, my community, my resources. We're making space for yoga, making space to make bread, making space to decorate my home, making space to relax, making space to do nothing. Because I definitely worked my ass off this month. Between new clients, old clients, returning clients, hobbies, changing of the seasons, maintaining my home, going to events, birthdays, nursing animals back to health. We have a new cat. Oh my gosh, I don't even think I told anybody that in this podcast. Now we got 2 cats on top of 2 dogs, so it's Noah's Ark here. Maybe the next 2 animals we get in the future will be 2 goats. I'll keep you posted, but there's so many things to do. There's always something to do. And even though it comes into naturally that negative perspective, because humans love to be negative, it's what we do best, that, oh my gosh, there's just so much to do, I can't do it. Okay, but write your list. Get excited about taking on a task. Finish one thing to do the other. We've got things to do. And I'm tired of doing it alone. And we shouldn't be doing these things alone. And you have so much confidence to do things for yourself and what you can contribute to others. If you can't do it by yourself, how are you balancing or not balancing, bouncing energy off of others without sucking it away from them? Don't be a vampire. What kind of metaphor could we use? Everyone's into pickleball right now. So if energy was like a little pickleball, can we just volley it back and forth? How are we doing that? We're avoiding, again, vampire person sucking away. And we're avoiding the ping pong metaphor, the whole bouncing around, constantly being thrown around, constantly being out of control. That balance. That sense of if I pass it to you and you pass it to me, I pass it back. We got this. We can do this. We're trying our best. We're learning when that pickleball falls. You pick it up, you bring it back. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of us adults and older people constantly giving up. And I get it, we're tired. And to some of us, take your moment to break. Take your moment to breathe. Take your moment to relax. But if you're continuing to come into these spaces of, well, I'm so tired of doing this and they can't do this and who cares anyways, get the hell out of my space. You're not supposed to be here. I'm trying to stay optimistic. We got a whole bunch of young people counting on us. And I know I'm an adult setting this expectation and perspective for young people of what other adults are. And I don't know why we're losing sight of that. You're capable of so much. I'm capable of so much. We're supposed to be encouraging because everyone's capable of so much. If we're not utilizing, again, acknowledging my strengths, my weaknesses, what other strengths and weaknesses are. I got so many kids who don't know what adults do for a living. Rachel, how'd you become a therapist? How'd you get there? Why'd you teach yoga? You were a florist at some point? Wait, what? Yeah. Why? Because I had time. Because I was a high school kid. Because I needed money. Because I wanted to buy cool stuff. Because I wanted to feel independent. Because who was stopping me? Who was stopping me? So many of us are stopping ourselves. So many of us, again, are coming from this perspective of perfectionism, of, well, there's only so many people who can do this. Some people are lacking representation. I get it. It takes a lot of excitement, strength, encouragement to be that representation for that group. And some of us happen to do it by accident. Oh, well. We don't need to be famous. We don't need to have ego. Well, I'm only going to do this if there's so many people watching. I would never do this podcast then. This is honestly still, again, just for me. The intention of having this was just to put my silly thoughts into something, because if they're stuck in my head, I'm going to go crazy. And I don't want to blow up and explode like a balloon. There's only so much stress my body can take and what I can hold on to. Blame it on my yoga perspective, because if you didn't try and if you didn't get excited about what you were able to do and cheering on others for what they were able to do, while, again, acknowledging my differences to their differences and seeing what beauty comes with differences, it's my silly thought. Because I'm not supposed to do the same things as my partner and vice versa. We can have similarities. That's why so many things happen in this house. It's how we have a garden. It's how we have all these animals. We're working together, shared intention to have that together. But there's still my effort and strength in it. And there's his. That's separate. And there's beauty in that. Because if we're not doing different things to contribute to the same goal, how are new things going to happen? How are things going to grow bigger? I'm already drawing out new ideas for the garden. You have no idea. To have that space, to have that privilege, to have that teamwork, to even learn so much, being able to volunteer side by side with so many people, again, who use this as a hobby, who use this as a job, who use this as a new learning experience, who came with so much experience. These spaces are important. These spaces help encourage people of every age, because you never stop learning. These moments are necessary, and we need to get out of our houses to make these moments happen. We need to, again, acknowledging that winter's coming, acknowledging that holidays are here, but as holidays approach and we're connecting with friends, families, community, start chatting, start yapping, start saying hi, start leaning in, start having fun, start embracing familiar faces, because I'm not here to be alone. Neither are you. I'll take my space at home to recharge. I'll take my space to have fun, laugh, learn, grow, and we have our responsibilities to do our work. Find your balance. Find your boundaries. Find your time and place. Find your time and space. There's nothing that needs to be chased after. There's, even as I think towards myself, this rush of, well, holidays are here and, what are you planning? What are the goals? What's going on? Sometimes my celebratory moments aren't very big, aren't very grand, and they don't have to be. I wish more people said that as we're here in these 20, 30-year-old spaces, young adult spaces. I'm genuinely looking forward to all the food that I'm making. I really am. That's so grand for me. That's my success. That's what I planned. And I'm happy to surround myself with people who laugh about it, entertain it. And if there's people who are negative about it, keep your opinion to yourself. I'm not really listening. Trust me, I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm too old. I'm too tired. It's not within my time and space. And it shouldn't be for you guys either. And it doesn't have to come off aggressive. It isn't this sense of, well, that person can go F themselves or they're not invited. I can only have so much control where my grandmother goes, okay? And she's an opinionated little old lady. I think a lot of us have a little Gladys in our life too. So as much as I love her and as much as she's going to be in those spaces and be excited over the fact that she's getting free bread all winter, with that is going to come with a balance of an opinion that's, when are you engaged? Why aren't you married? When are we celebrating? When are you having this, that, and the other? And I'm just like, girly, I'm just trying to get to December, okay? I'm just trying to get there. Happy December 1st. I've definitely yapped enough. You have to maintain those boundaries. Letting certain words bounce off. When talking to certain family members, friendships, where are we learning from people? Where are we getting stressed from others? Where can we have control of how our relationships look? Let's spark that fire. If it's under your butt, I'm sorry. Try to move it back into your belly. Less haste, less worry, less stress, less last minute. Let's, again, back to our bellies into I got this, I'm motivated, I can do this. What do I want to do to make it happen? For my friends who have their fire in their belly, if it's a small birthday candle, what brings that spark? What grows that fire into something bigger? If that's self-care for yourself individually, if that's within your community spaces, if that's with your attachments. I hope we're playing pickleball, bouncing energy back and forth, not sucking away or giving so much away to others, or being in spaces that feel like we're in a pinball machine, bouncing around without any control or sight of where we're going. Change is inevitable. Whether it's change we create for ourselves, our goals, what we work towards, there's change that's outside of our control. The moon and the stars can only predict so much, my silly thought. Whether the change is immediate, it happens without you even noticing, or whether it's a slow burn. It takes time and you need patience, and you pick up a hobby of bread baking to fill up that time because you feel like you have so much. I get it. I'm human too. But bringing this episode to a close, I look forward to bringing that fire back into my belly and out from under my butt, because this podcast is happening either way, whether it's last minute or not. I'm excited for December. I'm excited for the holidays. I'm excited for the new year. I'm excited to see what routines we grow. I'm excited to routines we maintain. I'm excited to see what we let go of. I think that's where we'll bring today's episode to a close. As always, thank you for giving today's episode a chance, for giving me your time, and for giving it a listen. This is Silly Girl, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. It's me. Until next Sunday at 9. Bye, my friends.